And hello, one and all. We are live. Welcome to my review for last night's edition of SmackDown Live, the November 29th, 2016 edition of the final show heading into the upcoming TLC 2016 pay-per-view. I'm going to give you my full overall thoughts and opinions on what went down on SmackDown last night. I just want to get it right off the bat. I did not have a chance to watch 205 Live last night. I'm going to have to play catch up, and I will be doing a 205 Live and NXT combo video. So that should be up probably sometime on Thursday afternoon. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's get off. Let's go right into my full thoughts and opinions on SmackDown Live. Like I said, this was the final show before TLC. We only had a 2-week build heading into this show, which to me obviously hurt the 2 weeks ain't just really enough time for WWE to build to a pay-per-view. I really wish we had a typical 4 to 5 week gap heading into the next pay-per-view. I mean, we just came off Survivor Series. Now we're heading into another pay-per-view, and I felt like SmackDown was placed at a handicap, And one thing that I feel is hurting SmackDown at the moment, but don't worry, it'll get better, is the feuds that we've been seeing. Not that I haven't loved what they've been doing with Miz and Ziggler, but I feel like now it's time for that feud to come to an end. And we will see that happen at TLC. The same thing can be said between AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and James Ellsworth, that whole saga that's been going on. And we will see that come to an end at TLC. So I think once we get past TLC, we will definitely see things pick up for SmackDown Live. I thought last night's show, it was an average show. I enjoyed, stuff on this show, but this week when comparing SmackDown to Raw, I'd have to give Raw the edge. I actually enjoyed Raw more than SmackDown this week. But I think, like I said, coming out of TLC, we will see a number of fresh feuds. We'll be heading closer and closer to the Royal Rumble season. We know Cena is returning, should be that final SmackDown of the year. So I definitely see things picking up to possibly The Undertaker. There's rumors of him challenging AJ Styles. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they shake things up coming out of the pay-per-view this Sunday. So let's talk about how the show kicked off last night. We kicked off with a contract signing between Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. Renee Young introduced them as they came down. Eventually, Alexa got on the mic. She pretty much berated Becky, talked about her Irish heritage, her accent, called the crowd a bunch of bricks. And Becky, she stood there. She let Alexa say as much as she wanted to. And then eventually, Becky cut her off and said, well, Becky, she said she had to fight and scratch and claw, and she earned her way to the top and becoming the top female. She was the number 1 draft pick for SmackDown Live. She said she was in one of the biggest women's wrestling matches at the biggest WrestleMania of all time. And she said she got these things, because she earned them. She wasn't given them. And, Alexa and Becky would eventually begin to brawl. A nice little brawl would ensue between them. And then there was a table set up from the contract signing. And Becky, got Alexa on the top rope. It looked like Alexa was going to be put through the table. She tried to go for the Bexploder off the second rope, but Alexa shoved Becky, and she went crashing through the table. And it was officially announced after this show that at the TLC pay-per-view, it will be Alexa versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship in a tables match. So I look forward to that. Like I said, I've been enjoying the feud between Becky and Alexa Bliss. I like, Alexa's really coming to her own as a heel. I think she's one of the best, if not the best heels, women's heels on the main roster-wise. Charlotte's up there with her, but, Alexa, if she ain't first, she is definitely a close second. So I think these two will go out there, and they'll have a pretty damn good tables match at the upcoming TLC pay-per-view. So that was a nice way to kick off SmackDown tonight. We then move on after this. We had our first match of the evening. It was Dolph Ziggler and Kalisto versus The Miz and Baron Corbin with Maurice at ringside, obviously combining all of the feuds heading into TLC. We know we have Ziggler versus Miz. That'll be the culmination of their feud inside the ladder match. And we also have Baron Corbin and Kalisto in not one of my favorite stipulations, a chairs match. Never really was particularly a big fan of the chairs match stipulation, but it is what it is. So the match here, was standard, good, average stuff. Everybody was getting their spots, their moments in. Eventually, towards the end of the match, as Kalisto connected with the Selena Del Sol, attempt to go for the pin, but Corbin hit Kalisto in the back with the steel chair that led to the disqualification. And Maurice also drove a ladder onto the back of Ziggler. So some outside interference there from Maurice. So obviously playing up the fact, the two huge match stipulations for TLC. I really look forward to Miz versus Ziggler in a ladder match. That's the idea that I pitched and many others of you have been calling for. I think it'll be a great way to blow off their feud, and we'll see both guys move on to other things after TLC. But I feel like it's a good culmination for their feud. The chairs match, on the other hand, I feel like it's really more so a limitation, for Kalisto and Baron Corbin, because, you can use the chair to cause damage to your opponent, but let's face it, you're not going to be able to hit each other in the head anymore for obvious reasons. So I feel like the chairs match more so limits these guys, whereas you can only target certain body parts. And I would have rather have just seen these two have a straight up singles match, maybe a no DQ match, although they're already having one of those on the show. But yeah, I've just never been a fan of chairs. Do we all remember the stairs match? I don't know. I like TLC, ladder matches, and even tables matches to a degree. But chairs, I've just never been a fan of that match. But hopefully Kalisto and Baron Corbin can go in there and make it work. So Dolph Ziggler and Kalisto were your winners as a result of disqualification. We had an interview with American Alpha, who were, of course, always ready, willing, and able to take on the Wyatt family, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, in the main event later on in the night. The Alpha said, the Wyatts may have powers and whatnot, mystical powers, but, they said, Jordan said he can suplex Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and they won't be able to come down. They said they're going to turn off the lights on the Wyatt family, and American Alpha will show why they are the premier tag team on SmackDown Live. So strong words there from Jordan and Gable, one of the best, if not the best, tag teams on the main roster-wise. I still think the Revival and Gargano and Ciampa are the two best, but Alpha is definitely in the mix with them. And can you imagine a triple threat between all three of those teams? Just a little fantasy booking. American Alpha versus the Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa. Oh, man, would that be so amazing. It would just be amazing. But getting back on track here, we had Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Luke Harper. I like the fact that they played up a little bit of tension, animosity perhaps brewing between Randy Orton and Luke Harper. It looked like Harper was getting a little bit jealous at how Bray was shining the spotlight on him and Orton. So that might be something interesting, to watch, see if that might, how that might play out later on down the line. But yeah, Bray pretty much told Harper, you're going to go into the ring tonight and send Kane back to hell. So we had Kane versus Luke Harper later on in the show. We'll get into that, but that was what it was. We had an in-ring promo segment between Carmella and Nikki Bella. Carmella was scheduled to face an opponent, but we never got that far. Carmella came out into the ring. She talked about how she wanted to apologize for what she's going to do to Cena's girlfriend at TLC. She said she's going to hit Nikki so hard in the chest with a steel chair that her own Bella twins will be popping out of her back. And she said that's a promise. And she said Nikki's going to come face to the point where there will be no wedding. And Cena, you will be welcomed for that. And she also said they're going to cancel Total Bellas Season 2. Eventually, Nikki would come down to the ring and begin. She hit actually, I'd have to say, I like the way she hit the spear on Carmella here. And eventually, there would be a brawl that ensued between them, obviously playing up the fact that this will be a no DQ match stipulation at TLC. And, they would eventually fight out of the ring, and Carmella would head to the backstage. So I like, what Carmella had to say here. Like I said, I feel like she's really done well since turning heel, because she was really going nowhere as a babyface at that point. It worked for her on NXT, but I just feel, she didn't really have too much of an identity, obviously, with the main roster being called up. So I felt like going heel with her in the long run would definitely benefit her. And like I said, continuing the theme of a TLC, I think this will be the culmination of a feud. I think, we'll see this feud, which began way back, all the way back, coming out, I believe, in September. this issue between her and Nikki Bella has been going on, so I think we will see this feud, likewise, come to an end at TLC. We had the Ambrose Asylum with special guest James Ellsworth. Ambrose brought Ellsworth out. He pretty much talked about how he beat AJ Styles 3 times in a row, and he won his SmackDown Live contract. And Ambrose and Styles, they talk about who's Ellsworth going to root for at TLC. Ellsworth talks about how he's going to root for Dean Ambrose, and he said it would be an honor to wrestle Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Championship. But AJ Styles came out. He had enough of this crap. He pretty much said that Ellsworth is nothing more to him than a prop. He pretty much called Ellsworth a smart dummy, and then Ambrose likely pointing out that, well, didn't you lose to that dummy 3 times? And then, AJ brought up the point that, he would have never lost to James Ellsworth if Dean Ambrose hadn't continued to interfere in all of those matches. And Styles said, he's going to take the chair and bend it over the back of Dean Ambrose. He's going to send Ambrose through all the tables. And then he has something for Ellsworth. And he says, if Ellsworth dares to show up, Styles will, he said, you think your face is already disfigured? Well, it will even be more disfigured coming out of tables, ladders, and chairs. And then Ambrose goes on. He finally gets serious, which, I can deal. I like Dean, when he jokes around, but I'd rather see a more serious side, of Dean Ambrose, on point, when he's on point, he can cut a pretty damn good promo. And we saw this towards the end of this segment. He pretty much said that Styles is going to go into the most dangerous match with him. He said, come Sunday, the fun and games are going to be over. Eventually, Styles has enough. He pushes Ambrose into Ellsworth, sends Ambrose into the steel ring steps. Eventually, AJ finally takes out his frustration on James Ellsworth. He beats him down. He gets Ellsworth caught up in the ring ropes, hits him with a steel chair, eventually takes a ladder and throws it on the back of James Ellsworth. And he hits a sick-looking Styles Clash off the steel ring steps onto Ellsworth. So what we saw here, I think, is the preview that we're going to be getting when Ellsworth uses, his WWE Championship opportunity. I think in that match, Ellsworth will just be completely annihilated by AJ Styles. And I like James Ellsworth, but, you have to keep in mind, he does have 3 victories over AJ Styles. I know, there's a good amount out there that feel, that makes AJ look more like a joke, less credible. But I think the way that you get that heat, and credibility back on Ambrose in the long run is in that championship match. You don't have any outside interference. You just have AJ go in there and just deliver a sick, vicious beatdown on James Ellsworth. Gives AJ some of that heat back. You put Ellsworth on the shelf, and then you could bring him back as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble and do something with him there. But that's the path I would like to see them go with this, and that would get, AJ retribution for losing to this guy. Like I said, it was in a fluky manner, but he still lost to him 3 times, and I don't want to see AJ Styles suffer any more defeats from James Ellsworth. So that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, I like the beatdown by AJ. They eventually took Ellsworth away in an ambulance after this match. And I really do think, I don't know, we'll have to see what happens in that TLC match. But I think it'll be a really good match between him and Ambrose. And like I said, again, continuing the theme, the culmination of the feud between Styles and Ambrose. I wish they brought the ambulance back to take me out with it, because we had Kane versus Luke Harper, a match that, does nothing for me. And, the fact that Kane won, he hit the choke slam for the victory. Okay, I would have rather seen Luke Harper go over here, because I like Kane. I love him. I've always been a fan of Kane, but at just this point, he really does nothing for me, as a character-wise. I just would rather have seen the younger guy go over here, and what more can you say? I want to see the Wyatts build up to become a dominant, unstoppable force like they should have been for so long, now. And Luke Harper definitely deserves better. I definitely see big singles potential. I've been saying that for years. When they finally do go their separate ways, I know they've split them up and then brought them back together, but once they do go their separate ways, I think say Ziggler wins the IC title from The Miz and holds on to it. I'd love to see them rekindle their brief feud from 2014. Dolph Ziggler versus Luke Harper. They had an outstanding ladder match at TLC 2014. So that could be something you could revisit down the line if you ever choose to have Luke Harper go on a singles run. But yeah, this match with Kane, it was what it was. Really, actually didn't care. Actually, I think I fell asleep during this part of the show. So, yeah. Interesting promo from Becky Lynch. She talked about how the fact that she went through the table by Alexa Bliss, and they wanted to get Becky's thoughts on it. And she pretty much said that, despite, going through the table, that she's not going to take it from Alexa Bliss. And she's pretty much, going to give it to that bitch. And I don't know if you noticed, we had a naked Enzo Amore, we had a parking lot brawl, we had, a bar brawl, we had Becky saying bitch here, we had, what else? Carmella talking about Nikki Bella's boobs. We had Ambrose at the end calling AJ Styles a bastard. I don't think it's anything, but I have noticed, a little bit more edginess, a little bit in the product. I don't know if that's just, here or there, but what do you guys think? Do you think we're seeing a little bit more of an edgy product? I mean, I've just seen small hints, and I don't know if it's a long-term direction or what, but I've definitely been noticing, and I wanted to see what you guys thought. So let me know down in the comment section below. Do you think we're seeing a return to a more edgy product from WWE? Because I've been seeing hints, and I just wonder what you guys thought of it. But then we move into our main event of the night, and this was a solid, really good tag match. I definitely like to see a feud between, these guys in the future. It was American Alpha versus Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. These two told a very good story in the ring. American Alpha, what can you say? So just such a great, talented individual. A lot of good action in here. And no, I wasn't really, going into this match, I thought it could have went one of either way. They could do a face versus face match. They could have done Slater and Rhino versus American Alpha. I thought maybe we would see the Usos interfere to potentially, play up and continue their feud that they had going with American Alpha, but we didn't see them get involved. But the way that the finish went down, Bray attempted to go for her sister Abigail, but Chad Gable countered with a nice drop kick. And Alpha was setting up for the Grand Amplitude, but Orton hit Gable with the RKO. That was really nice looking. And then Jordan went for a running corner spear to Orton, and Bray eventually sent Jordan's shoulder first into the steel ring post, and Bray hit the sister Abigail, which he attempted a couple times in the match for the win on Jason Jordan. So we have our match set for TLC, and I really look forward to this clash, and I think the time has finally come upon us for Bray Wyatt to pick up a championship in this company. I mean, when was the last time? I don't think he's ever held a championship on the main roster. He's had opportunities at it, but he's never held a championship. And I feel it's long overdue. So as a Bray Wyatt fan, I would be very happy to see him and Randy Orton go into TLC and beat Slater and Rhino for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. But yeah, we'll have to see what goes on there. I will save that for my TLC predictions video, which should be up either Friday or Saturday. So I'll get back to you on that. And then finally, we had Slater and Rhino in the back. They were, of course, watching the match. Eventually, Ambrose would run in on AJ Styles. He said, come here, you bastard. And Ambrose and Styles begin to brawl in the back. I liked it. It's something different we haven't seen in a while, like I said. And yeah, Ambrose and Styles brawl to close out the show. Like I said, I'd give last night's edition of SmackDown a C, a strong C+. It was a good but average show, like I said. Nothing really, the Kane Harper match I didn't really care for, but they focused on the build heading into TLC. All the feuds were covered, and let's just look real quick at the tables, ladders, and chairs card. Like I said, because this pay-per-view is only it's coming up this week. I mean, they only had a 2-week build, but I think the card itself is a solid card. looking at it, we have AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose in a TLC match. We have Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss in a tables match, so that should be good. We have The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler in what I think could be the match of the night in a ladder match. Nikki Bella versus Carmella in the no DQ match. Kalisto versus Baron Corbin in a chairs match. So we'll see how that stipulation fares. And then finally, Heath Slater and Rhino versus the Wyatt family, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. 6 matches, probably can go 2.5 hours. And I think it'll be a good show. And we'll see the culmination of many feuds here on SmackDown. So, guys, that is it for my live review for SmackDown. Let me know in the comments section below what you all thought of the show. What did you like? What didn't you like? And please remember to click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to my channel. Be on the lookout for me in my next video. That should be my 205 Live and NXT review. Hope to get that up by Thursday. And either Friday or Saturday, I will be back up with my TLC predictions video. And then I will be up here sometime Monday afternoon with my full thoughts on the TLC pay-per-view. So that is it for my SmackDown review, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Till then, guys, take care and have a great day.